1 hour later.
Can we move along? I run out of time cards, you see. Anyway, hey, what's up everybody? It is I am the one and only Ray the Flying Squirrel here, and I am back for yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, PC Steam, and finally the iOS phone devices. So, last time, we have basically managed to able to completely done with everything in terms of SpongeBob's dream, and every once in a while we did manage to able to start grinding for some more of those shiny objects, if you can clearly tell right about now. But believe me, it actually took me about 30 or so minutes in order able to get back on track, especially because, like I said before, is the fact that the actual main tedious part about the forms of the remake than the forms of how it does in the original though, is that like I said before, the loading times are dreadful, especially noticeable because you'll be staring at the forms of that particular grey background, while there's a tiny little loading text here and there showed up, and as a result of that kind of stuff though, it took absolute forever to do this process, especially because, again, if you die, the loading screen shows up, and then basically, I'm guessing it's because they need to load the pop-ins and stuff like that. So, yeah, relatively speaking though, it's just the fact that, well, I just have to do this off-screen for a little while, so just in case I need able to just simply just try to able to grind as many of those shiny objects as I could. So, relatively speaking, I think we basically had enough at this point, so yeah, we can basically just now move along. And basically just get ourselves the final, well, the final golden spatula, I suppose. But regardless of everything else, though, I think that's as far as I can try to describe about it, so. And by the way, I do apologize with the forms of that particular, let's just say, like, the forms of that massive jump cut without that, the golden spatulas, as far as I've managed able to accidentally collect on, off-screen. It's most likely because, well, relatively speaking, it's just all about, you know, shiny objects farming. So because of that, though, nothing else to say about this for the most part. So, there we go. We're basically done with the forms of the shiny objects grinding, and because of that, though, my god, does that really drag on. So, don't you, Mr. Krabs! Although, to be fair, though, you really want to be rich, aren't you? So, anyways, without further ado, let's get into the forms of the final frontier, such as taking place in the forms of the jump bucket. Now, I do apologize that that particular uploading schedule is a bit messy at this rate, just because, well, as far as I can tell, is the fact that this entire shiny object, process is a lot more tedious than I thought it was. So, I get the feeling that the television is not going to show up again, because obviously they already did exist. So anyway, so let's begin the final boss in the whole entire game, such as, of course, you know exactly who that is.
Look at that guy, with that big square head and those short shorts. That's the most hideous thing I've ever seen.
Wait, that hideous thing looks like me.
I always knew SpongeBob would be the death of me.
Jumpin' jelly beans? A robot SpongeBob.
There's definitely something funny going on here. And I don't mean you. Something else funny. Plankton! You're behind all this, aren't you?
Yes, it was me all the time. Behold, the Duplicatotron. I registered the name, so don't even think of ripping me off. With this, I can make a robot copy of anyone. I was going to make an army of loyal robots that would obey my every command.
But they're running amok!
I forgot to set the switch to obey Plankton. Ugh. But now that Daddy's home, I can fix that! What's wrong now? It should be working! It is working! They're obeying me! I knew I shouldn't have made a copy of myself, but I'm just so cute! You've interfered with my plans for the last time! SpongeBob, meet SpongeBob!
Hi, how do you do? Allow me to introduce my friends, Patrick, Sandy.
Enough! Prepare to meet your doom!
So yeah, let's go ahead and take down the forms of not only Robo-Plankton, but also Robo-SpongeBob as well. So because of that though, just like the forms of how it does in the original though, is the fact that it's been divided into a few different phases, such as for instance we need to use the bubble missile to able to actually get onto the forms of the actual lock-on targets, such as for instance we need to aim for, you know, the specific green light segments for the Robo SpongeBob, and every once in a while though that you will able to actually just to hit, you know what I mean, Robo Plankton, just for the sake of the forms of distractions, I suppose. So yeah, a few things we want to explain for this point today, and that is the fact that today's day is of course the 15th of July today, in this case in 2022 today, that today in, I think it's in Europe and America, that Pokemon Puzzle League is being relaunching today on the Nintendo Switch Online Membership Services expansion pack. So as a result of that kind of stuff though, they're able to actually finally experience the game, despite the fact that, relatively speaking, the actual sprites does manage to able to get themselves a, the actual, like, overlay lines or something like that for the actual, the HUD and everything, but regardless of everything else though, it's nice to have Pokemon Puzzle League onto the Nintendo Switch, so, which, gonna think about it, it kind of does the same thing from the likes of, Panel Me, I can't remember what the Japanese game was actually called, even though it might be slightly similar to Pokemon Puzzle League, but regardless of everything else though, is the fact that it's nice to have the English version of Pokemon, or the English version of the Puzzle League game, so relatively speaking there's not much else to discuss. So, and another thing too is the fact that we got a new Mario Kart Tour. Like, I've already said this time and time again, but of course I just got distracted by other news and all that stuff. And the new tour we got is the Piranha Plant Tour, and for I play it, it's actually alright, despite the fact that I still get screwed over by the bad controls again, as well as the forms of, you know, the item system has gone completely random. At least the only good thing about the tour though is the fact that we actually got ourselves versus 100 challenge. Like, you know what I mean, basically you have to be on top, and then, I don't know if it actually contains like a record system or something like that, but relatively speaking though, I think that's as far as I can try to describe it, so... So, yeah, it looks like he's almost down, so, and eventually we'll move on to the final phase, where basically we have to go inside the actual, the thing itself, so, yeah, not much else to say.
No, you don'ts are destroying my beautiful bride. We were supposed to get married next week.
Did he say married?
I'll repair you, baby.
Oh, I'm shrinking!
No, Patrick. I think the robot is getting bigger!
SpongeBob, he just flew into your head!
Well, then I'm going to follow him into my head. I mean, into my robot version's head, which is like my head, but bigger and more metallic.
Will you go already?
Here I come, Robot Plankton!
This is just getting too weird for me.
So yeah, as I said, we'll now move on to the final phase of the fight, where basically we have to be inside the actual robots, like I said before. But thankfully though, as far as I'm aware, the remake of this particular level does manage able to fix something is a little bit more manageable and generous this time around. Like, I believe if I recall correctly, as far as what Sonic has already tackled for the original game before, basically what he complains about is the fact that this particular segment has no checkpoints at all. So if you go into the forms of, let's just say, like, next few segments later, then basically though, if you somehow fall off or die by enemy encounters, basically though, you have to start all over again with this particular segment. However though, in the HD remastered this time around, the checkpoints are now super generous. So in this case though, like, let's say for example, if I somehow about to die from that robot, like right there, basically, if I somehow manage to wait until this loading screen is about to be finished, then it'll actually respawn right as soon as I'm able to get rid of those generators. So, that's at least a very generous thing for noticing this, especially, like I said before, that unlike the original version of... Excuse me? Oh, wait a second, because I'm pretty sure that robot is gonna spawn in, like... Oh, wait a second, one of those duplication machines that I need to be able to get rid of, so... I guess I wasn't paying attention to that, don't I? So, yeah, you probably get the idea, because as a result of that kind of stuff though, like I said before, and I'm gonna say it one last time, I do apologize with the forms of that particular uploading schedules is a bit messy with this part. That's only mainly because I'm currently missing some of these parts that I've somehow managed to able to get even more golden spatulas on my own time for able to actually grind for more of those, you know, godforsaken shiny objects and stuff like that. And on top of all that stuff though, it's just the fact that, well, you probably already know what the next few spatulas are. It's just, you know, getting more of them for, you know, spending more shiny objects to Mr. Krabs and stuff like that, which I will say is a bit tedious on the remaster remake because, you know, loading screens and all. At least unlike the original version, it's a bit more tolerable because, you know, no loading screens to be found, and also the entire process is a lot faster, so that's as far as I can usually try to describe about that. And also that, well, the music just somehow just doesn't loop if you somehow managed able to die, so I'm guessing that it's hard to explain because, I mean, let's face it though, it's the fact that I just want to move on to the next set of Let's Plays, although mind you, about the fact that Tiana, she's still working on, you know, Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge, so in this case though, that she will definitely need able to catch up for some more uploading schedules for that game. And alongside with that though, possibly next Friday, that specifically me, Mighty, and Pac-Man will promise you guys we will definitely be back onto The Simpsons Hit and Run, so hopefully we can able to actually finish that game before we move on to the next one, which is The Simpsons Game, until next year in 2023. On the Wii, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PS2, PC, and you name the rest. So, which I'm looking forward to, because it's been donkey's years since I actually somewhat technically played the PlayStation 2 version of The Simpsons Game. Mind you, I haven't exactly gotten that much progression, just because, well, relatively speaking, I just have no idea what the mechanics are. But at the very least though, I managed able to finally obtain a game specifically on the Nintendo Wii version, if only because of that one specific sound effect that he will able to actually stumble across into. To be more specifically, if you ever played the Wii version, to be more specific. So, anyway, so every once in a while, just like in the original version of the game, that the Robo-Plankton will distract you for a moment, so you get out able to stun him until, you know what I mean, to able to progress and stuff like that. I will say, going the inside of the forms of Robo SpongeBob in the HD remastered version of this particular segment right here does look quite natural. Well, at least to be more specifically though, is the fact that, well, again, it's hard to explain because it's been about 2 days ago since I actually last played this, so, but then again though, I just really want able to hurry things up before I move on to, you know, another set of Let's Plays coming up, including the continuation parts on certain games and stuff like that. But anyways, and here we go, on to the final segment, where basically we now need to utilize the bubble missile technique. That we have to do is about 3 times, because we need to take down all 3 of those generators. While every once in a while, we do need able to, like, get rid of Robo-Plankton for a little while. So just in case we can able to actually just, well, don't let him distract us. So, and thankfully though, it's actually rather easy compared to the forms of how it does in the original though, because in the original version, sometimes it can be too sensitive, whilst in here though, it's all about like accuration. So, but at the very least though, it's a little bit more easier than the original though, at least in my opinion. So, anyway, so here goes the 3rd and final generator, and let's watch the ending. So, huzzah.
What? Oh, yeah.
All my plans ruined.
That does it. I'm becoming a lawyer. You haven't defeated me yet. I still have lots of robots all over Bikini Bottom. I'll summon them all, and then we'll see. Uh-oh. I'll destroy you. You'll destroy me. I'll destroy you. I'll destroy you twice as hard. Oh yeah? I'll destroy you +1. Well, I'll destroy you plus infinity. Shut up, you stupid robot. Who are you calling stupid? I went to community college, you oversized coffee grinder. Oh yeah? I'll show you. Come here and fight like a mono.
Well, Plankton, I hope you learned your lesson.
Oh, I certainly did. Next time I'll get it right.
Ouch! We won! Who wants to get ice cream?
I do. Need I remind you all that there are still robots out there making a mess of Bikini Bottom?
Sandy is right.
Well, I thought she was a squirrel.
I'm being punished. I don't know for what, but I'm being punished.
There's still work to be done out there. Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy wouldn't stop, and neither will I. We can't rest until Bikini Bottom is safe.
And there we go. So, yeah, the day is saved once again, but this time in HD with all its different visual styles and all that stuff. Now, if you're probably wondering to yourself, what happened to the audio of this particular, well, the secret ending if you 100% the game? You know what I mean, getting every single golden spatulas and all that stuff. That's only mainly because, much like the title screen, it does manage to contain the original SpongeBob SquarePants theme, which I'm not gonna let you guys hear this because of copyright strike. So because of that though, yeah, it does feel a little bit weird able to see those character models made out of plastic and stuff like that. Or maybe because I'm referring to the original version of the game because it looks a little bit more related to the cartoon in my opinion, but hey, at least it's something I guess. So yeah, that's the only rewards you can get, again, if you 100% the game. So, despite the fact that I have to mute the audio because it'll contain copyright, so that's a good thing I'm probably not gonna be able to do that. Which, if I was planning to do Kingdom Hearts 3 in the future though, then obviously I'm gonna have to be able to do a lot of muted segments for the sake of not to get copyrighted and stuff like that, so. But there we go, we basically conclude SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated for multiple systems. And as a result, much like the original version of the game, the credit sequence takes you to the forms of a stunt park, where basically you're able to take control of Rolling Ball SpongeBob transformation, and then you can able to grab shiny objects while you're able to like go through obstacles and stuff like that. And as a result of that kind of stuff though, there's not much else to discuss. So, well, apart from the fact that, relatively speaking though, is the fact that, well, it's hard to explain. So let's give my final thoughts of SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated in comparison to the original version. It was alright. I mean, I honestly prefer the original version a bit more, to me anyway. Well, despite the fact that the both games are, well, good. Damn good. Like, I know for the fact that it does have some issues though, as far as the forms living in comparison to the original version. Well, let's just say the presentation looks a lot more nicer now, especially noticeable this is on the HD systems this time, and as a result, the actual entire presentation is a massive step up than the forms of how it does in the original version of the game, although it does have some glaring issues when it comes to its presentation, such as there's a lot of fog in the forms of Sand Mountain level, and also is the fact that the actual contrast might not actually be exactly perfect though. But regardless of everything else though, the soundtrack remains the same, so I do really like that. And also the voice talent is still present there, despite the fact that Mr. Krabs and Mermaid Man has been recast, because obviously that's, well, you know what I mean if you're falling for the original version of the game. And the controls-wise, well, it's okay for the most part. I mean, especially noticeable because I'm used to with the PlayStation controllers. To be more specifically, PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 4. I could imagine about the fact that I'm also able to do the same thing for the Cosmic Shake coming up. But as a result of that kind of stuff, though, the gameplay still looks very similar to the forms of how it does in the original version. At least that's a good thing. But there are some another negative things is worth noting for, and that is the fact that the amount of loading screens are everywhere. Like every time you die, or every time when you're able to load up the next segment, which is understandable for loading up into the forms of, well, you know what I mean, next segments of the level. As far as dying goes, it just feels kind of annoying and inconsistent sometimes, especially because, well, it just really wants to load in the remainings of the pop-ups of the forms of the actual, like, certain levels and stuff like that. And another thing too is the fact that, well, the game does able to actually offer us multiplayer, which I was going to originally try to show you guys about this, but I'm telling you right now, you won't be missing the goddamn thing. It's extremely bare bones, and the only way you can able to actually play multiplayer with is the fact that you have to use multiple controllers, or to be more specifically, if you're able to actually access to PlayStation Plus, basically though, you're able to play the game online. So, yeah, there's not much else you're able to miss out on. Although it's nice to see Robo Squidward finally makes its appearance after the forms of that scrapped idea from the likes of the original version. So, at least it's that, I suppose. And there's also the forms of the police station where you can able to look up on certain enemies you're able to look up on, which is very standard stuff. Like, I was originally going to show you guys about this, but there's nothing right to home about. And the last thing we'll showcase off of this is the fact that, obviously, just like the original version, there was actually the theater screen. So because of that though, as always, we need to pay 40,000 shiny objects in order to get inside. And here's the thing about this is though, back in day one, basically though, is the fact that the theater reward is actually very pointless for the sake of the forms of a day one edition. But thankfully, in the actual patch update, they managed able to show us the concept arts. Whilst compared to the forms of how it does it on day one, basically though, they only show us the actual screenshots of the game, and it feels very lazy back then. But thankfully, as I said, on the patch update, thankfully, they at least did something a little bit more manageable, like concept arts and everything. So at the very least, I appreciate that. Certainly a lot better than the forms of the day one edition of this. So because of that, though, I fully appreciate about that. So, but yeah, that's as far as I can usually try to describe about the forms of the theater mode. Basically, it's nothing else to discuss. It's just showing you the concept arts and all that stuff. Thus, you're able to experience a lot more pages on this, though, unlike the day one version, where basically though, it just gets like a little amount of those pages as far as I'm concerned. But regardless of everything else though, I think that's just what we can able to show you guys from here. So I don't think there's any like trailers to be found, but either way though, maybe I'm thinking about something else. So anyway, so with that being said though, that pretty much wraps it up through everything in terms of SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. Despite the messy ending, but regardless of everything else though, when it comes to getting the like the last few golden spatulas, but again, this is all about grinding for shiny objects as to be expected. So yeah, I do apologize for that once again, but it has to be done. So anyways though, thank you guys so much for watching of our Let's Play of SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. I had a lot of fun playing the game, despite it does have some issues there, but I did have fun with this game nonetheless. So this is me, Ray the Flying Squirrel, from the likes of the Maxi Toys, and we'll promise you guys, next year we will definitely going to be doing the SpongeBob SquarePants movie game on the PlayStation 2 next year, and possibly the Cosmic Shake in the future as well, but we'll see what happens there. So I'll see you guys then. Bye.